Imagine a pirate so terrifying that just the sight of his flaming beard sent enemy ships fleeing in panic. A man who wielded fear as his deadliest weapon, not just guns or swords. This was Blackbeard, the legend who conquered oceans with smoke, fire, and shadows. But who was the real man behind the myth? And how did he become history's greatest master of psychological warfare? In the early 18th century, the seas were ruled by cutthroat pirates, but none struck fear into the hearts of sailors like Edward Teach, better known as Blackbeard. His name alone was enough to make ships surrender without a fight. Unlike many pirates who relied solely on brute force, Blackbeard understood a deeper truth. Fear is a weapon more powerful than any cannonball. His infamous image, thick black beard twisted with slow-burning fuses that blazed smoke and sparks, was crafted carefully to terrify. But beneath the smoke and flame was a cunning strategist who manipulated his enemies and allies alike. This wasn't just a pirate. This was a psychological warfare mastermind. As we dive into his life, you'll see that Blackbeard's legend is as much about brains as brawn. His reign was short but unforgettable, marked by bold blockades, ruthless negotiation, and a final battle that would seal his legacy forever. Edward Teach's exact origins remain shrouded in mystery. Born around 1680, most historians believe he hailed from Bristol, England, a bustling port city with strong maritime ties. What is known is that Teach went to sea as a young man, likely as a privateer during the War of Spanish Succession, a legal form of piracy sanctioned by the British government to attack enemy ships. After the war ended in 1713, many privateers found themselves unemployed. Teach turned to piracy, a path many sailors chose when peaceful work dried up. By 1716, he had teamed with another pirate, Benjamin Hornigold, who was a mentor figure and helped him establish his reputation. Teach quickly earned a fearsome reputation. He captured a large French slave ship, which he renamed the Queen Anne's Revenge, arming it with up to 40 cannons. This massive vessel became his flagship and symbol of dominance. Unlike many pirates of his time who fought brutal, bloody battles, Teach's strategy was psychological. His goal was to intimidate and overwhelm without unnecessary violence. The blazing fuses in his beard created a hellish apparition that made him seem almost supernatural, terrifying sailors into surrendering before a fight could begin. He blockaded the bustling port of Charleston, South Carolina, holding the city hostage and demanding ransom. His threats were backed by the formidable power of his fleet and his carefully constructed image as a dark, unstoppable force. Blackbeard's reign of terror stretched along the eastern coast of the American colonies and throughout the Caribbean. Unlike many pirates who operated alone or in small groups, he commanded a fleet of ships and hundreds of men, each crew fiercely loyal to their fearsome leader. One of his most notorious acts was the blockade of Charleston Harbor in May 1718. Blackbeard and his fleet effectively trapped the port, capturing incoming and outgoing ships and demanding a hefty ransom from city officials. The blockade lasted for several days, creating panic and disrupting vital trade routes. Yet, Blackbeard's men committed surprisingly little violence during this event, a testament to the power of fear and reputation as his preferred weapons. He also formed uneasy alliances with local governors and merchants, using intimidation and bribery to maintain his freedom. Some officials turned a blind eye or even cooperated with Blackbeard, blurring the lines between outlaw and authority. His tactics on the sea were strategic rather than reckless. Blackbeard knew when to strike and when to bluff. His terrifying appearance, combined with the sheer size of his fleet, often led opposing crews to surrender without resistance, preserving his resources and manpower. Despite his fearsome image, Blackbeard's piracy lasted less than 2 years before the Royal Navy began hunting him relentlessly, determined to end his reign of terror once and for all. Blackbeard was a master not only of the seas, but of the stories told about him. His terrifying image wasn't just happenstance. It was a carefully crafted weapon designed to instill fear before a single sword was drawn. The most famous part of his persona was the slow-burning fuses he tied into his long black beard and hair. During battles or raids, he would light these fuses, surrounding himself with a cloud of smoke and sparks. The effect was almost supernatural, making him look like a demon rising from the depths. Witnesses described him as a hellish figure, a man who seemed more monster than mortal. These visual tactics were a form of psychological warfare, turning the battlefield into a stage and Blackbeard into its terrifying star. Enemy crews often surrendered immediately, unwilling to face what they believed to be a cursed or ghostly adversary. Stories of Blackbeard's brutality also spread far and wide, but many were exaggerated or outright fabricated. He was said to be ruthless, tying ropes around his body and threatening to blow up his own ship rather than surrender, heightening his fearsome reputation. His use of fear extended beyond battle. He wielded intimidation to negotiate, extracting ransoms and forging uneasy alliances with colonial governors who feared his wrath. Blackbeard knew that power came not just from weapons, but from the minds of those who saw him as unstoppable. Despite his terrifying reputation and successful piracy, Blackbeard's reign was coming to an end. The British Crown was determined to restore order to the seas and put an end to his reign of fear. In November 1718, Lieutenant Robert Maynard of the Royal Navy was sent with a small fleet to capture or kill Blackbeard. The final confrontation occurred near Ocracoke Island, off the coast of North Carolina. Maynard's plan was to lure Blackbeard into a trap by hiding most of his men below deck and approaching quietly. When Blackbeard's ship came close, the hidden sailors launched a surprise attack. The battle was brutal and chaotic. Blackbeard fought fiercely, reportedly sustaining 5 gunshot wounds and more than 20 sword cuts before finally collapsing. Despite his injuries, he managed to land several blows on his attackers. His death was as legendary as his life. According to accounts, Blackbeard was decapitated, and his head was hung from Maynard's ship as a grim warning to other pirates. Though his life ended violently, Blackbeard's legend only grew. His story has been told and retold for centuries, inspiring books, movies, and countless myths, many of which blur the line between fact and fiction. Blackbeard's death did not mark the end of his influence. In fact, his legend grew far beyond his lifetime. He became the archetype of the pirate in popular culture, shaping how we imagine these sea outlaws today. Many myths grew up around his figure. Tales of his supernatural powers, his supposed invincibility, and hidden treasures have been told and retold, often mixing fact with fiction. Some stories claim he survived impossible wounds or was a ghostly presence haunting the seas. In reality, Blackbeard was a skilled strategist who understood the power of fear and reputation. His ability to control narratives and manipulate others kept his crews loyal and enemies trembling. His legacy is evident in the way pirates are portrayed in literature, film, and art. The flamboyant, fearsome figure with a blazing beard and an aura of terror. Though he was only active for a few years, Blackbeard's psychological tactics and larger-than-life persona left an indelible mark on history. He demonstrated that sometimes the most powerful weapon is not the sword or the cannon, but the fear you inspire. Blackbeard's story is not just one of violence and fear. It is also a tale of leadership and psychological insight. Unlike many pirates who ruled through brute force alone, Blackbeard understood the minds of men. He cultivated an image that kept his crew disciplined and loyal, while terrifying his enemies into submission. His beard of flame was not just spectacle. It was a symbol of power that unsettled those who faced him. His leadership style combined charisma with intimidation. He demanded respect but also inspired loyalty. Blackbeard was known to share his spoils fairly, ensuring his crew stayed motivated. This balance of fear and reward was a psychological formula for maintaining control. He also played on superstition and rumor, knowing that fear of the unknown is often stronger than any weapon. By crafting stories of his supernatural powers, he manipulated perceptions to gain advantage without unnecessary bloodshed. In many ways, Blackbeard was ahead of his time, a master of what we now call psychological warfare. His story teaches us that power is often won in the minds before it is won on the battlefield. Blackbeard's story is a timeless reminder that fear, when wielded wisely, can be mightier than any blade. He was more than just a ruthless pirate. He was a master strategist who understood the human mind and used it to dominate the seas. Though his life was brief and violent, the psychological warfare he pioneered changed the very nature of piracy forever. His legend lives on, inspiring stories, movies, and the very image of what a pirate is. So next time you think of pirates, remember Blackbeard, the man who didn't just fight battles, but won wars in the minds of his enemies. His blazing beard was more than fire. It was the spark that ignited a legend. If you enjoyed diving into the mind of Blackbeard, don't forget to hit like and subscribe for more incredible stories from history's shadows. Got a topic you want us to explore next? Drop it in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and stay curious.